Hello everyone. I'm here today with Sheila Balgobin, and we are going to be speaking about her very interesting stuff about dreams. So Sheila will be doing a workshop at Awaken the Goddess Festival on the 31st of October called Wide Awake in Your Dreams, and she has written a book by the same title, which I'd also like to hear about. So Sheila, would you mind introducing yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, as you said, I'm a sleep and dream coach, specializing in dream interpretation. That was a gift that I was born with. It wasn't something I acquired, but that's backed up by over 25 years as a complementary therapist and a qualified psychotherapist. I originally started out as a dream coach, but realized that if people weren't sleeping well, they weren't going to dream either. So I had to, in a sense, add the sleep portion on to what I do. One of the things that I've been working on is I put together a course during lockdown, as it happens, to help people to find ways to get out of the COVID mindset, and move forward and see possibilities rather than being tangled up, I guess is a good way to put it, in the ins and outs and ups and downs of living under COVID. And because I observed that there were certain people that were, even under such circumstances, were actually thriving, and they had certain characteristics. And I was able to tap into that and create a course around that. But what my real passion is working with dreams. It's something that people have been telling me their dreams since I was a child, and telling me their stories. And it's like I said, it's something that's inborn, but something I enjoy doing, and getting people to see that dreams are more than just the result of a dodgy dinner or bad red wine, but actually have power and have vital information for the people that are having the dreams. I mean, just as an example, my dreams brought back my second husband into my life, whom I actually met before my first husband. After many years, it also literally saved my life. So I believe in the power of dreams, and working with my clients, I see how working with them and their dreams, not only helping them to improve their sleep, but getting them to tap into that powerhouse that is their dreams.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I've read a lot of books, and the courses that I do, like my herbalism and spiritual development, they all talk about how important it is to really focus in on your dreams and record them and pay attention to them. And I can't remember where it was. Oh gosh, I can't remember what course I was on, and she said, you can't do this work unless you pay attention to your dreams. I was like, wow, okay. And because I've always found it really difficult to remember my dreams, and I'm not the most disciplined of person to just quickly write something down. But the past, I would say 2 months, I've been remembering things when I wake up a lot more. Like I wake up and I know I've been dreaming, and it's like, oh, that was weird, and it stays with me for a while. I mean, gradually it fades, but I have been noticing them a lot more. So actually, maybe that's part of what I've been doing. So I would really like to know, tell me, Sheila, that's a very big statement that your dreams literally saved your life. Tell me about that, if you don't mind.
Well, it was a few years ago, just about before the millennium, actually. And for months, I was having these awful, awful, awful dreams, and about shipwrecks and ships going down at sea and all kinds of craziness. And it was literally every night. I didn't even have to write them down because they came back in living color every single night. So it wasn't even about having to remember. It was like imprinted on my mind. And I couldn't understand. One thing that scared me about these dreams, not only would I wake up literally shaking with terror, but they didn't make any sense. And the thing that worried me is that that was the first time I had never, ever been able to understand a dream. I mean, my sister was also a dreamer like me, comes from my mother's line. And she would come to me when she was stumped with dreams. So if I couldn't figure it out, I was like, oh shit, what is this? And I couldn't make heads or tail of it. I just noted it down. But like I said, I didn't even have to, because the dream kept coming back night after night. But finally, they stopped. And coincidentally, what happened when they stopped was I was in New York, and I was preparing to bring my husband over to New York to join me. And every time I tried, I mean, it was like I'd pry open the door and it would shut again. And finally I said, you know what, the hell with this. I'm just going to get my visa, which I got in less than 4 days, to come back to the UK. And the dream stopped at that point. I didn't have them anymore. Now, I moved here just before the millennium, so at the end of 2000. Or just after the millennium had begun in 2000. And in 2001, I found out exactly what those dreams were about. And it was, I mean, I almost hate to tell you because it's in my book, but let's just suffice it to say that in 2001, I found out what it is I was supposed to be. I could have been involved in, and it was a real possibility given the circumstances. But that day, when I heard about what happened, I knew that that was the dream that had been warning me about. And so it was it was just like, you know what? Need to change the kind of work I do, because it's not going to put me in a good situation, perhaps in future. So, and that's when I formally started to retrain and separate myself from the world of finance, because that's what I had done most of my life. I was in banking. Another bullet I happened to dodge by moving to London was working for Lehman Brothers. So, that dream really kind of prompted me to separate myself from a number of things that no longer served me. With time, the dream that it coincidentally brought me back was dreams about my current husband. But then that was kind of interesting, because I remember thinking while I was dreaming this, how is that going to happen? I mean, I was dreaming that we were together in a little coracle, a little Irish round boat. And we were in the stormy seas, and the seas was bouncing us around, but we never turned over, never got swamped in this little teeny boat crossing the Atlantic. And I'm like, how the hell am I going to get from New York to England in this little damn boat? I mean, I actually thought this in my dream. And as it, in other dreams along those lines. But eventually what had ended up happening, I was living in California. After my first husband had passed away, I moved back to California for a while. And I was having these dreams, and I sent a letter off to the last address I remembered here in England to the man who's now my husband. And the dream stopped again. It was just like, because I had acted on it and changed things somewhat, the dream stopped. And about 4 months after I sent off that letter, I got a phone call from my husband. And the reason why it took so long is because I transposed the numbers of the flat. And funnily enough, where the letter did go to was his upstairs neighbor. He's living in a tower block at the time. Upstairs neighbor who was a friend and who brought the letter downstairs to him. And then he finally got the letter and called me. And 16 years after we first met, we got together again, and then actually got married. So when I say dreams are important, I mean they are really important in terms of all kinds of decisions, not just life-changing decisions like getting married or avoiding disasters, but insight into work, insight into relationships, all kinds of things. I mean, the unconscious mind is always trying to get our attention about things, because it's clocking 24/7 everything that's going on around us, whereas our conscious mind has a very narrow focus.
Good
And
point.
so it would just implode if it had to take in every single stimuli that was around us. You know, the birds singing outside, your husband fixing breakfast, this one doing that going on, all of that going on all the time. And the unconscious mind is clocking all of that all the time. And then when something of vital importance to us needs to be revealed, that's when the unconscious floats it up when we're not distracted with other stuff at night. But the unconscious mind can also catch our attention in other ways. Slips of the tongue, accidents. Yeah. Believe me, you want to listen to your unconscious the first time it talks to you, because if you don't, it taps you gently and then it kicks you in the ass when you don't listen. And I have literally been knocked down in the street with nobody and nothing around me because the unconscious was trying to get my attention, and I knew why it was trying to get my attention. It was trying to tell me, take a break, slow down, take care of yourself. And I kept going, and I got knocked down in the street, literally with nobody and nothing around me, nothing to trip me, and I was off for 3 weeks because of my knees.
Wow.
So it was just like, believe me when I say you need to listen when you're being told something, because if you don't, it will make you listen. No doubt about that.
Wow. That is an amazing story, Sheila. And you know what? I'm really, really glad that you're coming to the festival, because if dreams are as useful a tool as that, then we all need to know how to work with our dreams.
Absolutely. I mean, I've identified over the years 4 different areas or types of dreams. And the first one is what I call well, let's see, I would define it as the scenarios dreams. You know, it tells you this is what it's like with your soul today. You know, it frames the situation for you. Then there are the dreams that are what I call smokestack dreams. You know, somebody cuts you off on the way to work. You had a fight with your partner or your boss. Your teenagers are driving you completely mad. And the unconscious is burning off the remains of the day. So, you know, you have these crazy little snippets of dreams about different things that happened during the day. Then you have the dreams that I call the creative or problem-solving dreams. And you know how many things were invented or created because of dreams? The song "Yesterday" by the Beatles, that was the result of a dream. The DNA double helix, that was from a dream. Einstein's E=mc², that was from a dream. Sewing machines, lots of things have been invented or created on the back of dreams. So it's a source of creativity and problem solving as well. And then there's the 4th category, and I call that the big medicine dreams, and like the dreams that I had about my husband and about missing out on a real tragedy. Those are the dreams and they're usually, because they are so big and involve not just you, but maybe the wider society, they often will repeat themselves, become repetitive dreams, because it's like, you're not getting this? Let me send it again. You're still not getting it? I'm going to send it again. And it will keep sending the message until you get it or something happens because you didn't listen, like getting knocked down in the street. So, you know, their dreams have specific purposes in our lives. And in fact, they have a psychological and physiological purpose as well. To give you an example, I used to be a drug and alcohol counselor. And what I noticed is that when people were drinking, they don't dream at all, because the alcohol is a depressant and suppresses all. And think about it, they're drinking to forget. Not that it helps, but they're drinking to forget. So it's a depressant that is pressing down and, you know, subduing all of that stuff that they're trying not to cover. Constant dreaming. So as if this system is trying to offload all of that stuff. And the DTs, or what they call it, delirium tremens, where they get the shakes, is often accompanied by hallucinations. And what those hallucinations probably are is the unconscious mind breaking through into the unconscious mind breaking through into the conscious world. And so there's all of this stuff that's coming up from inside them is creating these delusions and crazy behavior. So, and there was a study done at I think it was the University of Wisconsin, by a professor. And what she and her team discovered when they were working with women who had been divorced and were defined as being depressed, clinically depressed, that the women who, during these experiments, the women who were woken up during REM sleep were often found to be dreaming about their ex or dreaming about the relationship. And what they found was that they recovered from their depression more quickly and better than the women who did not dream or couldn't remember their dreams. So dreams have an actual physiological and psychological purpose. Jung talked about them as being compensatory. The unconscious mind should work in relationship to the conscious mind, so that there's a balance there. I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. Let's say there's this, I don't know if you remember years ago, Saturday Night Live, there used to be this character called the church lady, who was always, she was always, the slackness of the people and how their behavior, they're loose and lewd and blah, 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 blah. Take that same lady who in conscious life is condemning everybody for their loose behavior. In her dream, she's having it off with everybody and anybody. That's what I mean about the unconscious mind acting as a counterbalance. The more out of whack we are in our conscious life, the more out of whack and outrageous the dreams become as a counterweight. So hopefully, if you get the message, you come back somewhere in the middle and have more or less achieved balance. But that's exactly what dreams do. They help us to help keep us on an even keel if we take advantage of what the information that they're providing.
That's so interesting. What was that term you used? Big medicine dreams?
Yes.
I love that. I hope you're going to talk more about those 4 types of dreams in your workshop, because that's so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I mean, if I were to go into an audience and to put my hand up and say, how many people have had dreams where snippets of work or the conversations that they've had with a friend or a relative have come up in their dreams? And you're like, what? and that's a smokestack dream. That's, like little bits of crazy crazy little bits of what had happened during the day or the past few days or week will enter into the dream, because during the day you didn't process the stress associated with whatever that is. So it comes out in the dream. It's like just to burn it off and get rid of it, so it's not impacting you anymore. Now, the things that are much more deep and even greater impact on us will present themselves in a slightly different way. And like I said, it could be one of those other 3 types of dreams. If we're worried about creating perhaps some kind of working on a project at work and you're stumped at a particular place. that's where the creative bit of the dreams come in. Some suddenly, oh, okay, that's how I can do that. You know, these ideas just all suddenly come up, or suggest themselves, or you read something, or somebody says something, and it stimulates a response. So, you know, the dreams, like I said, they have different purposes, and depending on what you wish to do with them or what you need to do, they will present themselves in different ways. I mean, like lucid dreaming, people talk about lucid dreaming, and this is what I was talking about, like with the dream about rejoining with my husband in this little boat. I was thinking while I was sleeping, what the hell is that? How am I going to get there from here? You know, so, I mean, and I was asleep, but I was conscious of that I was dreaming. And lucid dreaming, people talk about in terms of being able to program a response. Like, you know, I wish to help myself slim down by 20 pounds, or whatever it is. And use that lucid dreaming to kind of enter into the dream and program things, and get the unconscious to help us to do something. What I do is different. I'm not programming the dream, I'm listening to it. There's a big difference. To go in and intervene, so to speak, in your dream and say, I want this outcome, and then work on having that happen. You know, that you made an external external manifestation of that perhaps could be a vision board, you know, trying to stimulate the unconscious mind to a particular end. That's not what I do. You know, and there's people, they call themselves dream whisperers and whatnot. I don't do that. I do merely, as a dream decipherer, I listen to what the dream has to say. And decode and crack the code so that people can understand what it is that the dream is trying to tell them. So there's a distinct difference between intervening in a dream and kind of programming what the outcome that you desire, and listening to the wisdom of the dream.
Difference there. Thank you for that, Sheila. There's a lot of food for thought here.
Yeah. I mean, dreams are, and it's interesting because dreams for centuries has been, and even today in certain societies have been given great place in society, and in terms of respecting and listening. I mean, you think of the Oracle of Delphi in Greece. The ancient Egyptians had a book of dreams. You have, even today, the Chinese and Chinese traditional medicine, Ayurveda from India, Tibetan medicine use dreams for diagnosis and prognosis. The Hopi Indians in the Southwest U.S. and the Australian Aborigines talk about dream time. Or, you know, the Hopi in particular dream the world of their grandchildren into being. So there are cultures that still hold fast to dreams and will use them and understand that they are a tool of psychological well-being and health. It's only been when in the West, because of the church, you know, it's like, okay, Michelangelo, you want to dissect bodies, you can have the body, but the soul belongs to us and you can't have it. And that's where that split between mental health and physical health is like, what? Is the head, are we headless horsemen walking around with no heads? Sometimes we may act like that, but but I mean, and that's where that split actually came from. So that, you know, the spirit, or the where dreams come from, was no longer joined with the body. It was taken away and set aside to one place, and we have that crazy split till today, where, you know, mental health as opposed to health.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean, where is my head going, you know, by itself? Where's the body going on without the head? Makes no sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I suppose that's where the whole sort of holistic health thing comes in. Like, it's being brought back in more and more because of the fact that, yeah, medicine has evolved into something that is no longer holistic.
No.
I remember when I was in my early 20s, I read Dr. Christiane Northrup's book, Women's Bodies, Women's
Body's
Wisdom.
Women's Wisdom. Love
And
that book.
yeah, it's amazing. It's the first time that those concepts of what goes on here and in your heart can affect what happens in your body. And I was just blown away. And I spoke to my sister-in-law about it. She's a GP. Was a completely foreign concept to her. Like, our
Oh,
GP
yes, it is. Doctors
hell.
doctors are not trained. I worked in a GP surgery for 7 years before I kind of went off and started doing my own thing. And they went from the older doctors, it's rubbish. It's to them it was completely foreign. It was complete nonsense. The younger doctors kind of would get it, and may even on their own, though they can't officially endorse, on a private level, they would, indulge, so to speak. But that's so common. They don't know. They're not trained in it. They don't understand it. Everything is that Newtonian mechanistic. It's a machine. You fix the machine, it's going to be okay. But what animates the machine, people? When a person dies, the body is just a shell. There's nothing there. Yeah. It's the soul inside that animates the body. And people have not captured, kind of opted into the fact that we are not bodies walking around with souls. We are souls walking around in bodies.
Oh, yeah.
Very different thing. Yeah. So when the soul is not in the body, there's no life. There just isn't.
Yeah.
And if anybody can tell me different, I'd like to know how, because I have, worked as a bereavement counselor. I have seen, shepherded people through death. And I cannot see, when you can see when the life leaves a person, you can see it. Yeah. So how can you say that we're just a sum of mechanical parts? Yeah. We're not.
Yeah.
We're not.
Absolutely. Sheila, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today. It was such a pleasure.
Always. It's always a pleasure talking with you. And I'm really looking forward to sharing thoughts with people about sleep in general, but dreams in particular, because it's an untapped resource that people really should use more.
Absolutely. So for everyone watching who's coming to the festival, it would be really good if you do have a dream that you'd like to share with Sheila, if you let us know in advance, because then Sheila can have a look at it and can actually she can demonstrate her dream interpretation at the workshop. So yeah, if you do have something you'd like to share, something you'd like to get insight on, email me and I will pass it on to Sheila.
Also, you don't have to worry about somebody finding out it was me in my crazy dream. I will make sure that there are clues that you will know it's your dream, but it will all be anonymized, so you don't have to worry about everybody knowing what you get up to when you're sleeping.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.